Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bookercast, the podcast where books come to life.
And I'm so excited to dive into another amazing story with all of you.
Whether you're a bookworm or just love a good story, this is the place for you.
Every episode, we explore incredible books, talk about their stories and characters, and share insights that'll make you fall in love with reading all over again.
All right, let's not keep you waiting any longer. Get comfortable, and let's jump right into it.
Sounds good.
Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a novel that really shook things up in the literary world, Gustave Flaubert's Madame Bovary.
Madame Bovary, a true classic.
It really is. Picture this, 19th century France, strict social rules everywhere, especially for women. Dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are often stifled.
A society where appearances were everything.
Exactly. And desires, well, those were kept hidden. This is the world our main character, Emma Bovary, finds herself in.
It's fascinating how Flaubert uses Emma's story, to expose the hypocrisy of that society, the limitations placed on women, the emptiness in bourgeois life. It all unfolds through her journey.
Madame Bovary is considered a landmark in realist literature, and for good reason. The details, the observations of the time period, they're so sharp, so precise.
He really captures the essence of the era.
And you know what? The book caused a scandal when it first came out.
Oh, absolutely. Shocked some critics.
Why, you ask? To understand that, we need to delve into Emma's story. And trust me, it's a journey filled with both yearning and, well, a lot of disillusionment.
We can't forget the context, right? Romanticism was huge in literature back then. Flaubert takes these romanticized ideals of love and passion and smashes them against the rocks of reality. Emma gets caught right in the middle of that clash.
Exactly. So let's paint a picture of Emma Bovary for our listeners. She grows up in a convent, reading all those romantic novels, dreaming of a life full of passion, adventure.
Sounds pretty idyllic, doesn't it?
On the surface, maybe. Then she marries Charles, a kind, but how do I put this?
Ordinary.
Yeah, let's go with ordinary, a country doctor. Can you see the disconnect already? Her expectations versus the life she's now living.
Oh, absolutely. Flaubert brilliantly illustrates those societal expectations placed on women back then. Emma craves love, excitement, social standing.
Things women weren't exactly encouraged to pursue.
Exactly. These desires were pretty much taboo for a woman of her time. She's expected to be a happy wife, a content mother, fulfilled by domestic duties. But through Emma, we see how suffocating these social constraints can be, and the devastating impact they have on a person's spirit.
And here's where things get interesting. Emma, desperate to escape, she seeks solace in affairs. She's trying to find that grand passion she's read about in all those novels.
Trying to live out those fantasies.
But, and this is a big but, reality rarely matches our fantasies, does it?
That's a question worth pondering. What happens when the life you long for constantly clashes with the reality you're living in? Look at the bouquet from her wedding, for example.
It starts to wilt.
Exactly. A stark contrast to that vibrant one she sees at a ball. It foreshadows what happens to her hopes and dreams, how they slowly fade, leaving behind that feeling of emptiness.
Such a powerful image. This tension between romanticism and reality is woven into every choice Emma makes. She chases this idealized version of love, only to be disappointed time and time again.
And that's where Flaubert's critique of social norms becomes so potent. Emma's desires, even though they lead her down a destructive path, they expose the hypocrisy and limitations placed on women. Even Charles, good intentions and all, is blind to her needs. It shows just how stifling societal expectations can be.
It's like Flaubert's holding up a mirror to the entire community. He doesn't shy away from showing the pettiness, the moral bankruptcy hiding beneath the surface of polite society.
And the way he does it is remarkable. His style is so precise, so meticulous, vivid descriptions that bring provincial life to life. And then there's that brilliant technique, free, indirect discourse. The lines between the narrator's voice and the character's thoughts, they blur.
It's like we're right inside Emma's head.
Experiencing everything firsthand.
Yes, we feel her yearning for something more, that constant dissatisfaction coloring her every thought. It's as if we're on this journey right alongside her.
Exactly. And that's what makes Madame Bovary so powerful. It's not just a story unfolding, it's an experience. It stays with you.
Yeah.
And what makes Madame Bovary so groundbreaking is its realism. Flaubert doesn't shy away from portraying the mundane, the ugly, even the uncomfortable parts of life.
It's like he pulled back the curtain on all those idealized stories and said, hey, let's take a real look at the world, warts and all.
Exactly. And his influence on literature. undeniable. Generations of writers were inspired by him, by his psychological depth, his social critique, that unflinching portrayal of human nature. Think about modernist writers like Virginia Woolf or James Joyce. They also dove deep into those intricate inner lives of their characters.
It really makes you think how one book can have this ripple effect throughout history. Madame Bovary was a game changer. Flaubert didn't just tell a story, he presented a whole new way of seeing the world.
And that's what makes this deep dive so captivating. We're not just talking about a novel here, but about a cultural phenomenon. Madame Bovary sparked debates about censorship morality, even the role of art in society. And even today, it still resonates with readers. It grapples with these timeless questions, desire fulfillment, the search for meaning in a world that can sometimes feel meaningless.
A lot to unpack for sure. But that's what makes a deep dive so rewarding. It pushes us to think critically, to challenge our own assumptions, and to look beyond the surface.
And we can't forget Flaubert's craftsmanship. The way he uses language, it's masterful, almost like a symphony. He weaves together these vivid images, symbolism, and this incredibly intimate narrative voice that just pulls you right into Emma's world. Think about those descriptions of her surroundings, her clothes, and even the way she moves. Each detail is so carefully chosen, so meticulously crafted.
It's true. Each detail is like a brushstroke on a canvas. You can feel her restlessness, her boredom, her longing for something more.
Exactly. And think about those recurring images of bells throughout the novel. The way their sound travels these vast distances and then slowly fades away. That's not just a random detail. Flaubert uses that symbolism to evoke the fleeting nature of her dreams, how they echo in her mind but ultimately dissipate, leaving her feeling empty, unfulfilled.
It's amazing how much depth and meaning he packs into every single sentence. He's like a literary surgeon, dissecting the human psyche with such precision.
And that brings us back to the core of this deep dive. What does Madame Bovary tell us about the human condition, about our pursuit of happiness in a world that can often feel restrictive, unforgiving?
Those are some pretty big questions.
They are, but they're worth exploring. And I think that's why this novel continues to captivate and challenge readers today. It holds up a mirror to our own desires, our own struggles, our own search for meaning.
It's a reminder that we're not alone in our struggles.
Yeah.
Even in a world that can feel cold and indifferent, there's still beauty to be found, connections to be made, and meaning to be created. Madame Bovary shows us that sometimes those big lessons come from the most unexpected places.
It's a cautionary tale, for sure, but it's also a story told with such profound empathy. Flaubert doesn't judge Emma. He tries to understand her.
Yeah.
He shows us the societal forces that shape her choices, the pressures that lead her down a path of self-destruction.
And that's what makes her story so compelling. Yes, it's a tragedy, but it's also about resilience, about rebellion, about a woman who dared to dream even if those dreams ultimately led to her downfall.
That's the power of literature, right? It lets us step into someone else's shoes, see the world through their eyes, and confront all those complexities of human nature. It can be a powerful form of empathy.
It really is. So as we wrap up our deep dive into Madame Bovary, what stood out to you the most? What will you take away from this exploration of Flaubert's work?
Yeah, it really can be. For me, it's that reminder that even when you're facing all these societal constraints, those moments of personal failings, there's something so human, something moving about Emma's story. It makes you question, makes you empathize, and ultimately makes you think about your own life, your own choices.
I love that. And I think that's the perfect note to end on. We've covered so much today. But as with any great book, there's always more to discover, more to think about in the pages of Madame Bovary. If you haven't already, I really encourage you to check it out and embark on your own deep dive. You might be surprised what you find.
You might even find a little bit of Emma Bovary in yourself. And that's the magic of great literature, right? It goes beyond time and space. It reminds us that we're all part of this messy, beautiful human story.
Absolutely. Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive. Thanks for joining us today. It's been a pleasure exploring the world of Madame Bovary with you.
Until next time. And that's a wrap for today's episode of Bookercast. We hope you enjoyed diving into it as much as we did. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. Your support means the world, and we can't wait to hear your thoughts on this episode.
Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and share this episode with your fellow book lovers. And let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing from you. See you in the next deep dive. Bye for now, and happy reading.